All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tackle a super important topic for anyone building with generative AI. How do you really know if what you've built is any good? Let's get into how you can actually evaluate your own AI projects.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask for something simple, and what you get back is, well, it's just plain weird. Or maybe it's confidently wrong. And that right there, that unpredictability, is exactly why we need a solid way to grade these AI models. Without evaluation, you're pretty much just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll talk about why your AI basically needs a report card. Then, we'll get into a big question. Are you testing a single ingredient or the whole recipe? After that, we'll open up the toolkit and look at 3 key methods for testing. And finally, we'll see how this all feeds into a loop of making things better and better over time.
Okay, first things first. Why even go through all this trouble? Well, building a great AI application isn't something you just do once and then walk away. It's all about making sure it's high quality and that your users can actually trust it.
When you really boil it down, this whole evaluation thing does 4 crucial jobs for you. For one, it's our quality assurance. It's how you find and fix problems before your users do. It also has a huge impact on user satisfaction, because let's be honest, nobody likes a chatbot that gives nonsense answers. It's also the fuel for continuous improvement, pointing you right to the spots that need a little more work. And finally, it helps you stay relevant, making sure your app is actually meeting what people need and expect.
Okay, so we're sold on why we need to test. But that brings us to the next big question: what exactly are we testing here? And this is a really important distinction. Are we evaluating one single piece, or are we looking at the entire system working together?
Think about it like you're a chef, right? On one side, you have the language model itself. That's your star ingredient. Testing just the model is great for debugging or seeing how it stacks up against other models. But then, on the other side, you have the entire chat flow. That's the final dish, the whole experience, where an input might go through several steps and different bits of logic. Testing that is how you understand what the user actually sees. And here's the key. You really can and should evaluate both.
All right, so we've got the why and the what covered. Now it's time for the fun part, the how. Let's open up the toolkit and look at the 3 main ways developers put their AI to the test.
So we're talking about 3 main approaches here. First, there are model benchmarks. Think of them as standardized tests for AI. Then you have manual evaluations, where you need a real human's judgment. And finally, there are automated evaluations, which, believe it or not, often use AI to grade other AI. Let's look at each one.
So first up, benchmarks. The easiest way to think about these, they're kind of like the Olympics for AI models. They're these public, standardized tests that see how well a model performs on specific tasks compared to all the others out there. It gives you a really clean, objective starting point.
So what are they actually measuring in these benchmarks? Well, you've got things like accuracy, which is just what it sounds like. Did it get the answer exactly right? Then there's coherence and fluency, which are all about how natural the answer sounds. Does it flow well? Is the grammar correct? And then you have more advanced stuff like GPT similarity, which often uses another powerful AI to judge if the meaning of the answer is correct, even if the words aren't a perfect match. Next up, we have manual evaluations, because sometimes an automated score just doesn't tell the whole story. You just need that human touch. An algorithm can tell you if an answer is factually correct, but it can't always tell you if it's genuinely helpful or if the tone is, well, if it's just off. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. A real person can pick up on all those subtle things that a machine just can't measure yet. Is the response actually relevant to the conversation? Does it truly satisfy what the user was asking for? That's where people are still absolutely essential. And actually doing this, it's pretty straightforward. You start by cooking up a whole bunch of different test prompts. You want the easy ones, but you also want the weird, tricky ones that push the boundaries. Then, you run them through the model in what's often called a playground. And finally, you get real people to rate the answers, often with something as simple as a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
But hang on. What if you need to test thousands or even tens of thousands of responses? There's no way you can do that all by hand. And that's where our third method, automated evaluations, comes into play. This is how you test at a scale that humans just can't manage.
So what are these automated systems looking for? Well, they often use another powerful AI to judge things like coherence and relevance. They also have a huge role in risk and safety, automatically scanning for any harmful or biased content. And they use classic techniques from natural language processing, or NLP, to measure things like how much the AI's answer overlaps with a perfect answer. Let's take a look at a classic example from the world of NLP, the F1 score.
Now, without getting too deep in the weeds, it's basically a clever way of measuring accuracy. It looks at the words in the AI's response and compares them to the words in the perfect ground truth answer. And then it calculates how much they overlap. It's a really solid way to get a quick, numerical score for how close you are to the right answer.
Okay, so we've got our 3 big methods. But here's the most important thing I want you to walk away with. Evaluation is not a one-time thing you do before you launch. It's not a box you check. It is a continuous, never-ending process.
And it creates this amazing cycle of improvement. You evaluate your AI's performance. You analyze those results, looking for patterns. That helps you identify the weak spots. Then you go in and make changes to fix them. And then what? You start the whole cycle all over again. It's how great AI goes from being just built to truly evolving.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. If these AI systems are never really finished, then maybe our idea of what success looks like needs to change too. It's not about crossing some finish line. It's about that constant journey of improvement. So the real question for you is, how are you going to measure that journey? What will your measure of success be?